Prepare for an unforgettable night at the San Francisco Symphony. Karina Kanalakis conducts Prokofiev and Sibelius November 6th through 8th. Prokofiev's dazzling third piano concerto crackles with brilliance and drive, while Sibelius transforms myth and nature into a sweeping musical vision. From the energy of Prokofiev to the beauty of Sibelius, this program showcases orchestral music at its most thrilling. Experience Karina Kanalakis conducting Prokofiev and Sibelius November 6th through 8th. Tickets at sfsymphony.org.
And now it's time for No Pucks Given with Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Penguin Scoops locker room buzz and straight-up analysis. No fluff, all hockey. Now, here's Dan.
Alrighty, it is No Pucks Given, episode, I think, 37. I am Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. You can see this on YouTube. I think I'm recording the video a little bit of a different way this week. Technical constraints here at the hotel. Also, on all of the Odyssey podcast platforms. That's Apple, that's Amazon, that's Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast, there I will be. So do me a favor and set those downloads so that when I drop this insanity, brilliance, craziness, inane, witless blather, you may download it immediately. You can delete it. I don't care. Let's talk about some things, or actually let's talk about what we're going to do on this show. And you can actually see, those of you on the video side, that is not downtown Toronto over my shoulder. That is, in fact, the Pearson Airport in Toronto. And I'm staying at the casino close to the airport because about a month ago, and I hadn't booked my Toronto hotel. I mean, I usually wait to see what kind of deals are going to happen. I didn't realize that Blue Jays fever had already gripped the city. And I kid you not, even my tiny little crappy hotel that I rather enjoy, that's actually a blues club downstairs, was $500 a night. The other places I stay, like right close to the arena, which are maybe $150 a night, kind of like those apartments and such, they were going for $2,000 and $3,000 a night because people were expecting Game 7. They were expecting a parade, and they were just making sure. So when I booked, budget was the better part of valor. Here's what we're going to talk about on this here little podcast. We're going to talk about the rookies. At any one point, the Penguins actually have 6 rookies in the lineup. Now, we're going to set aside Arturs Shilovs, the Artie party. Being a goaltender, I think that's an entirely different issue. I also think I don't really consider him a rookie. When you've had that kind of playoff run that he's had, and a couple of shots at the NHL, I just don't see him as a rookie, but he does, by the very definition, qualify. So at any one point, there are 6. But we're going to talk about Ben Kindle, Harrison Brunick, Philip Hollander, Ville Koivunen, and Owen Pickering. We're also going to chat about what went right during that 8-game points streak, and that sort of dovetails into Dan Muse. What's different under Dan Muse, the system, the atmosphere, and all of that sort of comes into play as we talk about that. We're also going to talk about, there's an issue, and I spent the last week talking to several players. Erik Karlsson, he and I really had kind of a good chat about that. I caught him on the right day, and he was pretty talkative, and Erik Karlsson has this disarming honesty, kind of like, your grandmother telling you you're dumb, your cousins are ugly, just, there it is, who cares? And he just sort of says things without a care. He sort of explained the issue we're going to talk about, how they've been outshot and well outshot sometimes. I talked to Dan Muse about it, asked Parker Wotherspoon and Ryan Shea and and some others as well. I wanted really the defenseman's perspective on it. So we're going to talk about that, the killer instinct and the rookies, and even a little bit about this here road trip. I kid you not, as we record this Sunday evening, I've been in 5 cities in 7 days. It's getting a little... I feel like I've been on the road for 2 or 3 years straight. I mean, when I make a cup of coffee at home, I leave a tip. I come home at night and like, why isn't my bed made? What the hell? And then I remember that it's actually my bed. So it's a little bit of isolation. It's a bit isolating. Like for dinner tonight, I'm staying at a casino, so I wander downstairs. I had my pick of restaurants, and you sit there quietly. You kind of get a little corner booth and enjoy yourself. But it's not for everybody. Fortunately, I was kind of born to do this. Let's get into the rookies, shall we? And I will not have the ability to put up any pictures since I'm recording this in QuickTime. So let's just imagine Harrison Brunick. If he plays on Monday night, and I don't yet know if he will. I suspect he will. I think they want to get him a run of games now, or make their decision. Because here's how it all shakes down. Because they can keep him past 9 games, and they can still send him back to juniors. Yes, they can do that. I think it's a 40-game cutoff. Remember how they did that to Daniel Sprong. They delayed, and they sent him back to juniors in like December or something. They could do that to Harrison Brunick as well. They could scratch him and delay, and then eventually send him to Team Canada for the World Juniors. So they'll have at least given him sort of a half season of very high-level play. Now, before we get into Brunick's play and that decision, I need you all to understand a little something first, because it has almost become cliche that, he can't learn anything in juniors, so there's no point whatsoever to sending him back to junior hockey. The first part might be true, that he really can't learn a whole lot more down, in the WHL. But that's not to say there wouldn't be benefits. Understand how difficult it is to be a 19-year-old defenseman in the NHL. Just think of the 100 decisions a defenseman has to make on any given shift. He has to know which hand to hold the stick with. Do I confront this guy? Do I back up? How far do I back up? Do I step forward to play the puck? Do I skate with it? Do I move it quickly? Do I go to the post? Do I battle? Do I take away the passing lane? There's just... And in that just never-ending sort of mental grind, you're actually playing hockey through that, and it can be overwhelming. So, what can he learn in juniors? Well, nothing. But understand, he can also have his confidence shattered. He can feel stomped if this isn't the right decision. If they keep him in the NHL and he struggles and keeps struggling, well, there's no benefit to that either. In fact, there is a harm to that. So understand, this is a big decision. It doesn't necessarily need to be made at the 9 games. I mean, it's not like they lose him if they play him for 20 games and send him back to juniors. What happens? They enact the first year of his entry-level contract. All right. So that means in 2 years, they will owe him a new contract. Big whoop. They're going to give it to him anyway. And in fact, there actually might be a benefit in 2 years because he hasn't fully developed yet, and you're giving that guy kind of a bridge deal. Or you're able to get him on a little bit of a bargain. So don't, I've been guilty of this too, and please don't take that as this is a lecture on the 9-game part anyway. I think everybody kind of gets caught on that 9-game deadline. But it's not hard and fast. They can keep him past 9 games and still send him back down. Daniel Sprong, back in 2015, they futzed around and kept him into December, I think it was, before sending him back down. Everyone's like, oh, well, you burned a year of his entry-level contract. Oh, that was terrible. In reality, did it cost the Penguins anything? No. Did it cost the player anything? No. So credit to the person in the organization who kind of alerted me to that potential. That if he does go back to juniors, I mean, first of all, he might not have a whole lot to learn, but it would protect him. And 2, he doesn't have to go back to juniors right away. He can, kind of kick around and maybe they give him, a 5-game run or 10-game run, whatever it might be. Now, to his play, that's sort of the that's the rough part. Because you saw in the first 3 minutes against the Winnipeg Jets, he and Owen Pickering, a pair of rookie defensemen, are -2. Boom, boom. I talked with Harrison after the game. He and I just had a one-on-one chat, and he was kicking himself. Make no mistake, he was upset with himself for both goals, actually. And I said to him, well, I mean, come on, the first goal was just kind of bad luck, right? That was bad luck for everybody. It happens. He's like, well, no, we have to defend the goal line better. We have to be better. That can't happen. That shot can't happen. Like, okay, fair enough. I tend to disagree. I mean, I've seen Sidney Crosby do that to goaltenders for 20 years. So from that standpoint, I wasn't going to argue with him, but I understood his frustration. The second goal was, in fact, a good bit on him because the Jets go wide down the left flank, Brunick's side. They get behind him. And now he's got the choice. He gave the puck way too much space. They get behind him. He kind of lets Brad Lambert chip him and sort of muscle past. So when the puck swings around the net, and I forget who passed it to Brad Lambert. Please forgive me. Lambert goes to the back post right through Brunick. So now Lambert has position on Brunick. And it was an easy tap-in at that point. So, I mean, he rightly is looking at his 2 big mistakes on the play, not playing a tighter gap and nullifying the play. Maybe 3 mistakes. Letting Lambert get through him, and then letting Lambert tap it in so easily at the back post. Artie Shelofs, I thought, played it poorly as well, because his shoulders were largely parallel to the crossbar instead of squared to the puck. If Shelofs turns, kind of fronts the puck, I don't think that pass gets through because that pass was deep through the crease. I mean, that was a foot, 2 feet from the goal line. I don't know how nobody broke it up. And Pickering as well needed to be on the far post to disrupt that. But instead, Pickering kind of took the front position point on the crease, which gave the puck carrier all kinds of time and space. I think Pickering was kicking himself a little bit for that play too. After that, Coach Dan Muse breaks up the rookie pairing. He puts Pickering with Chris Letang. He puts Brunick with Ryan Shea. And in talking with Brunick after the game, he was kicking himself. But I think maybe the reason that there's still a good chance that...
Prepare for an unforgettable night at the San Francisco Symphony. Karina Kanalakis conducts Prokofiev and Sibelius November 6th through 8th. Prokofiev's dazzling third piano concerto crackles with brilliance and drive, while Sibelius transforms myth and nature into a sweeping musical vision. From the energy of Prokofiev to the beauty of Sibelius, this program showcases orchestral music at its most thrilling. Experience Karina Kanalakis conducting Prokofiev and Sibelius, November 6th through 8th. Tickets at sfsymphony.org.
And he sticks around after Game 9. He was heartened by how he played the rest of the game. He really felt like he got back, he got in a rhythm, and he actually played some decent hockey for the next 57 minutes. Now, it's hard to overcome a -2 3 minutes into the game. But he felt like he learned from that, he contributed, and make no mistake, Muse is watching video with him, they're going over things. I mean, Brunik is getting the first-class treatment from the organization. And he even mentioned that, like how great everybody's been, sitting down with him and really kind of not force-feeding him, kind of spoon-feeding him as much as he can handle. It is a process. There's no question he's good. The question is, should he be back in junior hockey? And I think after Saturday, I think the meter went from 60-40 going back to maybe 60-40 staying. It's still a volatile. It's a volatile meter. What can I tell you? Let's get to Owen Pickering now, because Pickering is an entirely different sort of situation. Here is a guy who played 25 games in the NHL last year. He got a really quick hook. Part of his quick hook was, what's the right word? And I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate it. I mean, there was haircut gate. I mean, the social media, everyone's like, oh, look how great that is. Sidney Crosby takes Owen Pickering for a haircut. The reality was Sidney Crosby was sort of solving an internal problem. And that was, there were some guys giving Pickering the business. They were on him. They were on him pretty good, and for some reason his hair became sort of a point of emphasis or contention before the close cropped haircut. But is friction the right word? To what degree I never quite got the full story. I certainly have some suspicions and I have some beliefs, but that's all they are. They are not knowledge. So I really don't want to dive too deep into them. But, he goes through a little bit of crap. He gets sent down back to Wilkes-Barre. He comes into training camp. He was fine. Not good, not bad. He was fine. He made 0 mistakes. And that seems to be the very thing that Owen Pickering is trying to do now. After all he's been through, the quick hook last year, sort of the rookie razzing or whatnot, the demotion in training camp, which may or may not be deserved. You can argue either way. So here is a guy who is really tentative. His average shift length is actually getting shorter. I wrote about it several days ago that, he got 21 shifts in Minnesota, the same as everybody else, actually a couple more than some of the other defensemen. Yet his ice time was under 14 minutes. It was like 13:32, 13:23, 13:23. Despite 21 shifts, because his average ice time was only 38 seconds. So I kind of talked to some people, and I watched closely. No, the coaches are not calling him over to end his shift in 30 seconds. That is a player afraid to make a mistake. That is a player playing way too cautiously. It's understandable given everything that he's been through. That's why I brought everything up. But he also has to assert himself. At some point, he has to say, to hell with it, I'm playing. And he has to bring his A game, or he's going to get caught in this sort of ocean current washing him up and taking him out. He's going to get caught he's going to get rolled, actually, is what's going to happen if he doesn't assert himself. I thought he played really well in Minnesota. I lost track of the number of little nullifications, the interruptions, the poke checks, the, kind of rubbing the defender out on the wall. Just, using it, or the forwards, separating forward from puck, little touch play, boom, it goes. And yet that doesn't show up on the score sheet. He did that, no less than half a dozen times. But he still was just jumping off the ice as quickly as he could. And he's going to have to start playing hockey and trusting himself. So I don't know Owen Pickering's longer future. If he continues to throw himself off the ice, you very well could see Ryan Graves brought up. And they have one of those, another tough conversation with Pickering like, dude, you need to be better. They wouldn't be wrong. I don't know that they'd be entirely right, but they wouldn't be wrong. And that is the I guess the fundamental thing for all of us in life, right? When someone's making a decision about you and you don't force them to give you what you want because you are indispensable, invaluable, playing too well, doing too well, you leave it up to judgments. And that's kind of where Pickering is right now. Caleb Jones is out for another, 7 weeks? Rough math. 6-7 weeks. So Pickering has some runway. But you'll notice Pittsburgh Hockey Now had the report a bit more than a week ago now that the Penguins indeed kicked tires. Kyle Dubas made some calls on some spare part left-handed defensemen. He was out there, seeing what he could get. He wasn't offering a whole lot from what we understand. He wasn't, throwing around second, third round picks, and he wasn't going after established guys who are in the NHL, but rather looking at some of those, like Eric Gustafsson in Detroit, who was waived at the end of camp to his great surprise. Gustafsson, 33 years old, has over 500 NHL games, always kind of an offensive defenseman, has had some real spurts in his career, but now in the AHL. And from what we understand, what sources admitted to us, that, the Penguins kicked the tires. Obviously, one of the Penguins or Detroit didn't like the negotiations, and it didn't happen. Pickering gets called up a day or two later. That's not exactly building up the confidence or showing that the organization has a lot of confidence in him. Let's talk about Philip Hollander. Top line duty. Really hasn't played poorly. Not even a little bit. No mistakes. He's done some good things. He's pretty good on the wall. But he hasn't really made an impact yet, has he? How many games has it been? He had some good pokes in Winnipeg. He had that great chance against Minnesota. Oh, did Sidney Crosby serve one up to him on Thursday night? Crosby, down close to the goal line, just snaps a pass to Hollander in the slot. Hollander makes a good shot. At first, you think, Hollander didn't lift the puck. Then you look at the replay. He got the puck 3-4 feet off the ice. That was a good wrister. And Philip Gustafsson diving to his right, cleared. He goes full horizontal, stretched out. And because he dove to his right, his glove hand is the top hand, and is able to get his glove on the shot. Hollander had a couple pokes at Eric Comrie as well. And, rebounds in the crease, and right there, couldn't poke them home. I count those as good things to a point. I count these wall battles that he wins good. He does have to do a little bit more to maintain top-line duty. Otherwise, he becomes a very Dominic Simone type player that you all just went bananas against Even though it seemed like Dominic Simone, wherever Simone went, good things happened. He just wasn't on the score sheet to celebrate for himself. Right now, anyway, in this very specific moment, I see Hollander in that same mold. Now, Hollander can continue growing, gain some confidence. He has to play with the puck more. He has to hold it onto his stick. He has to let the play develop. And he's got some good playmaking ability. He can't and he shouldn't treat it like a hot potato, which he sometimes does. I get it. I mean, you're back in North America for the first time. You're playing with Sidney Crosby and Brian Rust, and they've got their own shorthand language. And there's a temptation for every player who joins that line, not named Rickard Rakell, to get the puck and give it back to them. Get the puck, get it back to get the puck to those guys and let them do their thing. I think Hollander has to, get a little more confident as well. But there has been absolutely zero negatives to Hollander's game so far. Ville Koivunen, on the other hand, really he's had 3 straight good third periods. However, unfortunately for him, he's had 3 straight mediocre first 40 minutes. In the third period, he's playing with the puck, he's pulling it back, he's holding it, he's looking, the play. Koivunen has that ability to, his head is up, he's got the puck, and the play just sort of seems to begin to melt around him. And he can do things with the puck. He knows where to put it and knows where to go. You start to see that, but only in the third period. In the first couple of periods, he's sort of chasing his tail a little bit. He's moving the puck too quickly, and he's not playing his best game. Now, having said that, as I bring in the other rookie that the Penguins are icing, Ben Kindle in the third line, despite getting, I think the team got spanked by Winnipeg on Saturday. That third line, whether it was Hollander, Kindle, and Koivunen, or Novak, Kindle, and Koivunen, I think those 2 lines combined to allow 1 shot on goal. No scoring chances, no high danger chances, and all the shots, all the scoring chances were theirs. I don't necessarily think there were a lot of dangerous chances, and I don't think they spent enough time in the offensive zone, but they had those quick strikes, those bursts where they were dangerous, especially the Hollander, Kindle, Koivunen combo. The Hollander, Kindle, Koivunen combo. Say that 5 times fast. So from that standpoint, Ben Kindle is a bit quiet, but he's just doing everything right. You notice he hasn't been scratched the last few games. Technically, he should be scratched for Toronto because that would be a few games, but I don't think. I think they're going to let him roll for a while. So that's the rookies. For those of you on the Odyssey podcast network, here is where I take a break. Now, I plan to only talk about the rookies for like 15 minutes. Ha, ha, ha. Dan got long-winded, and it's been like, 27 minutes. So here is where we take a break, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the team itself and if they are whistling past the graveyard. So hang on. Odyssey's going to pay some bills here in the No Pucks Given podcast to it.
Prepare for an unforgettable night at the San Francisco Symphony. Karina Kanalakis conducts Prokofiev and Sibelius November 6th through 8th. Prokofiev's dazzling third piano concerto crackles with brilliance and drive, while Sibelius transforms myth and nature into a sweeping musical vision. From the energy of Prokofiev to the beauty of Sibelius, this program showcases orchestral music at its most thrilling. Experience Karina Kanalakis conducting Prokofiev and Sibelius November 6th through 8th. Tickets at sfsymphony.org.